Hey, Spence.
Yeah, Shane?
Valentine's Day, well, as you're hearing this, Valentine's Day already happened. But for us, Valentine's Day is coming up. And have you seen Notting Hill?
No, can't say that I have.
No, but have you seen Runaway Bride?
Nope, I have not.
Well... Now you've seen the 1999 classics, because both of these came out in the same year.
Double
Did you know
feature,
that?
baby. I did when you said we were doing this. I looked it up and I was
Yeah.
like, what?
They don't feel like they came out in the same year.
We should look up later in this conversation the box office because I'm fascinated by.
I would be very surprised.
Here, you
to find
look
out,
up Notting Hill. I'll look up Runaway Bride.
because
We could do this before. But
we could have. I'm looking up Notting Hill.
Yeah.
Is what you said. Notting. I can't spell, so you might have to know. Notting Hill. Cut out this dead air.
No, I'm gonna leave it. All right,
Notting Hill made $363 million at the U.S. box office.
Okay, what's the budget? Do you have that number?
I do not have it right now. I will
no
get it.
worries.
42 million.
Wow. Production budget estimated on Runaway Bride is $70 million.
Wow, that
But
feels
opening weekend made 35, and then gross. This is weird. Did they change this? It's not giving me a total, but it's giving me worldwide gross. Okay, that'll include that. Gross worldwide $309 million.
Ooh, very close.
So
Funny.
both very successful movies.
Yeah.
Remember when they made little mid-budget movies just about one thing?
Yeah,
I miss it.
with stars, with movie stars.
Yeah.
About being beautiful and
Dude,
falling in love.
it's part of the like Alamo Draft House. We talk about them all the time, but Alamo Draft House is doing their like time capsule thing where they're taking you back. And so the first 2 months of the year have been 1999.
Yeah.
Man, is it fun to go back and watch a movie? You know what I mean? Like it's so rare to find when and I love how they look. You know what I mean? Like they look so like grounded and real.
Yeah.
Like the background's not fake.
Yeah. Shot like actually on a location.
Yeah. Yes. Like just who would have thought shooting on a street is easier than, shooting for a street in a green screen environment, whatever.
Finding a little town in freaking, I don't know. It may or may not have actually been shot in Maryland. But just finding like a little downtown.
Yeah, dude.
And like a little town.
Like they used to just build those for movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On a back lot. Now it's all the volume and only one guy knows how to actually use the volume.
The thing I find crazy about that though is they're spending $250 million for it to look worse and for them not to be on location.
Well, dude, there's a couple reasons for that. We're not even talking about these movies.
We will.
We will. Just bear with us. Let
us lament about how the industry is ruined.
Yeah, so there's a couple reasons for that. One of them legitimately is the uprising in streaming, like the uptake in streaming and downtake in physical media.
Yeah.
Because like there's a great clip of Matt Damon explaining this, and Matt Damon was like, look, they used to make these mid-budget movies because if they didn't make money then, the back end, it would when the Blu-ray came out a couple months, 6 months later, it was like a second opening weekend. That's what the numbers were like.
Yeah.
So when that kind of started going away,
I mean, you've got the blockbusters of the world ordering 600,000 copies.
Yeah.
Just to go be rented, let alone the actual like
any other video
in-home,
store, any other home, like all the big box places had huge sections, and they were more expensive back then when the technology was newer.
Yeah.
Like Blu-ray or DVDs used to go for like equivalently what a 4K is now, more or less of inflation on that. But so that's one reason. And the other reason is the conventional wisdom is the more expensive a movie is, the easier it is to sell to markets. And that has changed more now. Like that's become that now. And the third, and that's not a hard and fast thing, but it is definitely like if you look at the movies that are coming out, there's a definite trend in that of like Renfield didn't need to cost over $100 million, but that movie definitely cost at least $200 million.
Did it really?
I don't know. If
I
not,
hope not.
But then you look at something like, let's take the Batman, for example.
Yeah.
The Batman cost literally half of what basically every Marvel movie costs.
Yeah.
Now, it's still $150 million, but for a Batman movie, that's crazy. That's such a small amount of money.
Yeah.
And then the other...
It looks great and it's phenomenal.
Exactly. And one of the other reasons is like... the importance of the theatrical experience is changing, where now everyone only wants to go see your Dunes or your, which, like, don't get me wrong, like, I literally just refunded a ticket for a smaller movie to go see Dune in IMAX.
Yeah.
Because they're re-releasing it, because I'm like, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But it's that, and it's the fact that movie stars, as they were back in the beginning of Hollywood through like the 1990s, early 2000s, not the same thing. Yeah. Completely different. They don't sell a movie like they used, unless you're like The Rock and even he makes a bunch of bombs, or like Ryan Reynolds. Like, I think the test of Deadpool 3 is going to be a really like telling thing on if he's even still viable in that way anymore. But anyway, it's a weird, complicated issue of like how to get back to that, but there's solutions. It's a pretty easy solution. It's just studios don't want to take losses for a year or two before they come back.
It also wouldn't surprise me if it was like a speed thing. You know what I mean? Just like the speed of production. Like, you know, if you're shooting in the volume, you can go home and, you know, you don't have to go to a hotel room. You can go back to your house that night. Yeah.
And look, the volume is a great tool.
Yeah.
I think the Batman again, anything Greg Fraser's done, right? Yeah. Did he use it on Dune?
Yeah. I think so.
Because...
Did he not?
I don't know about Dune. I can't remember about Dune because, well, Dune is also that is another movie that they did not. I saw behind the scenes footage of Dune for the first time that I'd never seen of like the ornithopter like spinning when they're holding him on the outside. It's actually dangled in the air and they like comped it in behind it like they used to do. Yeah. No green screen. They just built it. You know, it's crazy and awesome. The creator does some of that too. The creator's a pretty non-traditional one and it looks great. Yeah. I don't know if you did, but the Batman, they shot the Batmobile chase like predominantly in the volume. Yeah. All the close-ups and stuff. Because it's way safer. Yeah. That's the type of situation I'm in for it. That when they shot, they built the real set of the exterior like bat signal. Yeah. But all the stuff on the outside, instead of green screen, it's the volume. Yeah. It's an extension of it, not an ease of use. Like that's when I'm cool with it. But the way all these like Star Wars shows are doing them,
it wouldn't surprise me if it made it easier in a lot of ways. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it looks better, and so often it looks better when Greg Fraser's doing it. Yes. And is also, I would imagine, like because you don't have to comp that stuff out and like it's already just done in camera. Like, it might be some like sweetening you have to do.
The lighting is also matching way more. You know what I mean? Like you just light off a screen and it is not one-to-one what you want it to be, but it's close enough that no one would notice. You know what I mean? I think the volume is a great piece of technology. I just think it's being like horribly misused. Yeah. I think it's being used to be lazy instead of just like simplify a thing, make it safe or whatever.
Yeah. It's like there are so and I think these movies are the epitome of like this could have been both of these I think could have been shot on a back lot. You know, on the Warner Brothers lot that you've seen 1,000 times.
If they were Netflix originals, they would have been.
Yeah. But because they're actually like something about them being like shot on actual locations in actual places, but the 90s, baby, they don't make them like they used to.
I mean, they really don't. Yeah. We kept saying that watching these, but
so, to kick it off,
rom-coms.
We'll talk Runaway Bride first, and then we'll talk Notting Hill. What did you know? Did you know anything about Runaway Bride? What did you...
The title gives more of that one away. So it's like I had the premise of like, okay, that's what it is. But other than that, and other than Julia Roberts was in it, I had no clue. Yeah. Nothing about that movie.
Yeah, that one, the Runaway Bride... Look, is it the best movie ever made? No, but that one is such a nostalgia movie for me. There's something about rom-coms specifically. Like me and my mom used to like watch all these rom-coms and stuff together. So it's like a lot of my rom-com taste comes from my mother. And so like this one is like the epitome of that. Yeah. It's like, is it the best movie ever? I don't know, but I love it.
Feels a little like Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah. Where it's just like, you know exactly. It's like a step, now this might sound, I'm not trying to downplay the quality of these movies, but it's like a step above like a Hallmark type thing. Yeah. Where it's like, you know the experience you're going to get. These are just made with like a way better and higher effort and
phenomenal cast and like directors you recognize.
Like, dude, Julia Roberts was in 2 of these in a year. Yeah. We're lucky if we get a rom-com a year now. Literally. Like, at least, definitely not a wide released one. No. Like, I can't think of what the last, like, just straight over the plate
Julia Roberts and Danny Ocean. What's his freaking name? George Clooney.
Yes. Ticket to Paradise.
Ticket to Paradise.
Which is a perfectly fine movie. That movie's okay. Caitlin Deaver's in it. Everyone's really charming.
What the one with the Sydney Sweeney and the...
Oh, okay. See, that's a different example. That movie, Anyone But You. Yeah. Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell officially, I think, made $170 million at the box office. Maybe a little more than that. Maybe I misread that number.
How much did it cost?
That's great.
Did it actually make money?
I'm sure it did because it had like a big opening or a pretty big opening and then a big second life. Like I think and it's had a long theatrical run. Give me a second. I'll look this up.
Yeah. Like I think that there is so much more room for these types of movies than I think they are given credit. Man, it's like it's hard to know like who's at fault, whether it's the audience or the studio or both. You know what I mean? Like people aren't going out to these movies, but like, is that their fault or is that the fault of the studios for putting nothing behind it?
I have an interesting. I believe it was Darren Aronofsky. I should have saved the video, but I watched it anyway. Before I talk about that, because I have opinions on that.
Yeah.
It was $25 million to make.
Wow, it's cheaper than I thought.
Very cheap. And it made $170 million worldwide. So definitely profitable.
Very nice.
Definitely a profitable movie.
It.
Popular. I think that'll have a pretty good VOD life too. Like I think a lot of people who didn't go out to see it will be like, especially with Sydney Sweeney blowing up even more than she was when that came out. But anyway, what you're talking
after Madam Web, it might hit a dip.
There's gonna be.
Just kidding. We keep talking shit about.
Dude,
Madam
you know the
Web.
funny thing is, Dakota Johnson is doing nothing but shitting on that movie.
I love it.
And Sydney Sweeney is nothing but like, hey, can I do this fun superhero thing?
Yeah.
Like she's like, can I dangle from the ceiling like for real? Like, and I was like, that's awesome. I'm super happy about that. But
and Dakota Johnson rules.
I love Dakota Johnson. Did you see the video of her in an interview when an earthquake happens?
No.
And she straight up just goes, there's going to be an aftershock. She could not give one solitary fuck.
I love her.
Amazing. But what you're talking about, audiences, Darren Aronofsky, this is his proposal to fix this, is studios need to accept for like 3 years that they're going to take losses on a couple of movies a year.
Yeah.
Still make your big ones, just make one or two less, and then make 3 like... Think of the 90s, the Law procedural. You know what I mean? Like, make some of those, because audiences are trained.
Yeah.
It's not that only one thing comes out. It's that studios are only making one thing. So when something else comes out, because a lot of different stuff comes out every year, it's just harder to find.
Yeah.
It's like other things will come. If you, Longlegs is an upcoming movie with Nick Cage, a neon like horror movie. I'm so excited about it. The marketing is so weird. I have no idea what that movie's really about other than it's like a thriller serial killer thing.
Yeah.
If you mass released that, it probably wouldn't make money.
Yeah.
But if you mass released 4 of those a year for 3 years, audiences would start going again.
Yeah.
Because they would see it as like, okay, well, they're making these, so they must be good again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's his proposal for it. Is I really think audiences are just trained to be like, I don't want to go sit through that other thing. I want to sit through the Shapes and Colors movie.
Yeah.
It's like, but no, these other things are still coming out. You just have to seek them out, and we need to make it so they're just coming out.
Yeah.
Because you and I are fortunate we have Alamo Drafthouse, who's going to get the more art housey things.
Yeah.
But around here, I feel like the AMC's and Cinemarks get pretty good movies. Like Dallas is a pretty decent market for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's the solution. Is we just need to make like we need to go back to the era of like just putting 2 attractive movie stars into a movie and just letting it be what it is. Yeah. And I think Anyone But You is a great example of why it can work.
I mean, it's funny because like especially with like influencer culture that we live with now, where it's like, you know, people follow these people and, you know, they suggest a thing and their audience is influenced to do that thing. You would think that would be an obvious extension of the movie star culture of the like 80s, 90s, and like early 2000s.
It's
so
like
you'd think that those like, oh, well, they're in it. Oh, they do that thing. I want to do that thing. I want to go see that. You know what I mean? Like
my faith in that was shook with The Flash.
Oh,
how everyone was talking. Movie critics I trust were talking about how good it was, and I went and saw that movie and walked out and was just like, we don't like to shit talk, but that movie was like baffling to me. Like I could not figure out how that happened.
They just made a billion wrong choices, and they just like kept trying to put like this needs to be successful.
Yeah, well, it had to be. It was in post production and development for so long that it has to be one of the most expensive movies ever made, purely from the perspective of how long it took them to make it. Yeah, how much debt they had to accrue from all the loans they had to take to make that movie. Yeah. Horrible. Anyway, so my faith in that is shaken. But you're right. Why aren't movie studios trying to do that more? Be like, hey, like send swag packs about Anyone But You out to people. It's like even if they're not seeing the movie, they're just like, oh, I can't wait to see it. Goes a long way.
I'm not even talking about like getting influencers to promote movies. I'm talking about like the way as a society we follow these influencers and do these things that these influencers are saying. I'm surprised, and that feels like an extension of the movie star culture where like, oh, Tom Cruise is in it, I have to go see that. Yeah. Where now it's fucking Bella Hadid bought that bronzer, I should also buy that bronzer. Yeah. It's like, it's kind of like an extension of that in a lot of ways, and it's weird that like, or it feels like it took the place of that.
Because like, I don't think as many people are going to see George Clooney in a movie like, I got to go see it, or even Glenn Powell. You know what I mean? Who's like kind of Sydney Sweeney's different. I think Sydney Sweeney's kind of a pull, right? Like, you know. Anyway, a lot of weird reasons these movies don't get made anymore. And it's like a huge bummer because a lot of them are really good. I want a 90s legal drama so bad. Yeah. Like
in Notting Hill, there's like a bit where we'll get to Notting Hill in a minute, but there's that bit where she's like reading the script for the next movie she's going to be in. Yeah. And it's like Hunt for Red October, or like one of those. It's like, man, they don't make those anymore.
They really do not. And it's a bummer because they rule.
Yeah. I mean, like I could live without some of the like 90s like propaganda kind of movies.
Oh, totally. But there's something like tactile and real and small about 100%. A lot of those movies. Anyway, that's that. Anyway. But Runaway Bride.
Runaway Bride. What did you think? What were your thoughts? What would you were you surprised by anything?
Interesting experiences watching these like back to back. Because watching Runaway Bride, I had a lot of fun. That movie is charming as hell. Yeah. Like everyone in that movie is having a blast, and they're all perfectly cast and all have great chemistry. And I'm really into all of it. It's too long. It's like 20 minutes too long.
It's too long.
And like that really hurts it for me, like a lot. But then watching Notting Hill made me like Runaway Bride a little less because Notting Hill's like really good.
It's one of the best rom-coms ever made.
I really liked Notting Hill, and it made Runaway Bride a little worse for me. Yeah, which I try not to do but it's hard not to when they're both 1999, both Julia Roberts, both rom-coms. But it's funny. It's a funny movie. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's like, I think, honestly, I completely agree. I think the two things that hurt it, I think, are the length for sure. And the two main characters are pretty unlikable for a lot of the runtime.
Yeah.
It's like
they're both charisma machines, but they're
both so charming, like as human beings on the planet Earth. Yeah. That it makes you like them, but they are written as pretty bad people. Yeah. If there were other actors, other people in those roles, I think that movie would be a lot less palatable.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
In a fascinating way. Like that, like we'll get to lessons later, but that is very much tied to my lesson for specifically Runaway Bride. It's like casting in movies like this, where it's like, it is all about chemistry. It is all about charisma. It is all about, the relationship of the people on screen. Casting is everything.
Yeah. Like, totally.
Which is fascinating, especially to be talking about this in light of the news, which again we could talk about later. But yeah, like like we were talking about earlier, I think the being in physical locations, like being in this cute little town in Maryland, like that does so much to make this movie feel like cozy and nice, and like a lot of those decisions I think go a long way to make the movie more enjoyable than I think it could have been had if this movie was made today. Oh my god, this movie would be so much worse.
Yeah. Who would star it? Is that the game?
Oh, that's that could be game
part 2, because we only really have to cast like 2 or 3 parts per movie.
You've seen what's the other Richard Gere, Julia Roberts, Gary Marshall movie? Where she's the prostitute.
Pretty Woman. No, I've not seen Pretty Woman.
You've not seen Pretty Woman? Oh my god, I can't believe we didn't watch that one too. We should have watched Pretty Woman and Runaway Bride.
Triple feature.
Oh damn, we should, because those are both Gary Marshall, Richard Gere, Julia Roberts rom-coms. We should have done that one. I thought you've seen that. I thought we talked about that.
No, I haven't seen Pretty Woman. That's one of those like classics that flew under the radar.
Well, next year.
To be a little critical of Runaway Bride, which I
go for it.
I really did not need the runaway at the altar or runaway going down the aisle the last time. You know what I mean? I like when that happens. At that point, the movie had been so long in the tooth that I was like, okay, I'm out, man. Yeah. Like with the way they resolve it is really charming and fun. No qualms with that. Yeah. But it's just like when it got to that, I was like, I was hoping so desperately she would like stop and they would just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of having this like fake third act, fake climax to then climax later. That hurt that for me. It's a funny sequence.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, you know, where she like fakes him out and then the flash and she's like, no, but
I like the choice. Like, I think it's a surprise that like, I don't think, I think the version that you're talking about is a lot more common, like would have been. That being said, like I feel like you could have trimmed up the first part of the movie and honestly trimmed up that last bit too. It would have helped that decision a lot more.
I think it's kind of like we Dracula we talked about, where it's like that last little volley of Bram Stoker's Dracula is like, that could be like 10 minutes shorter and this movie would feel 15-20 minutes shorter. You know what I mean? Like, legitimately. Not to say that stuff's bad, it's just by that point the movie's been going, we've had a bunch of crazy shit happen, and then that's like not the most interesting part of that movie. And
that being said, I also really like what the movie has to say about the decisions that she, you know, about like why she's making these decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I totally like, and like my fix for that would have been to just layer that in more and have the wedding be some kind of realization of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Of some kind, but I don't know. Like again, it's like, it's not like breaking the movie. I still really enjoyed Runaway Bride. I still thought it was, like I said, charming as hell.
We talked last week about like a perfect 3.5. Yeah. And I think this movie might even be 3.
Yes, it's a 3-star movie.
But it is so good to like have on in the background while you're making dinner, or you're, you know, that again, like this is just one of those movies that like if it was on Showtime, my mom was turning it on and, you know, she was doing her thing, she was, you know, making dinner or whatever, and I was helping her out. Like we were, you know, that is what I think of when I think of like enjoyable moments with my mother specifically. It's like us sitting on the couch late at night watching Friends, watching Everybody Loves Raymond, watching Dance Moms for a time, watching movies like this, of just like us shooting the shit, shutting the fuck up when the good scene happens, and then going back to shooting the shit.
Yeah, man.
Like, that is why I love this movie so much, where it's like, is it the best movie ever? No, there are some interesting things to take away from it. You know, some interesting lessons and some interesting things to learn. But like overall, it is like not the best movie ever made, and I would not go to bat for it in that way. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Runaway Bride? Any other, like, do we want to do lessons for this, like, real quick? Anything that you learned?
I think my lesson is kind of more like on a genre, you know what I mean? Yeah. More like the tropes of a genre and how to play, when to play and when not to play with them. I don't know. I think this movie's genuinely funny. Yeah. I think it's a really funny bit for the whole beginning to have like this guy winning over the entire town, and she's, you know what I mean? Like, it is because
he's so fucking charming.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's what saves this movie.
The running gag of the older lady hitting him with the newspaper, and by the third time it happens, he just like walks up. It's great. Yeah. It's what's his name? Hector, his best friend, his like best. That actor's so funny. Yeah. He's like, she's pulled a hair from the back of my neck. And he's just like completely deadpan.
Dude, not only are Richard Gere and Julia Roberts perfect, amazing, have the best chemistry. That's why they've done like 5 movies together. Not only that, the supporting cast is phenomenal. Yeah. Such a phenomenal supporting cast.
Yeah. Like I said, casting was really like big time going off the charts on this one.
That is the big thing for me for movies just like this, is like when that relationship is the core of the movie, it has to work 150%. Yeah. And if it doesn't, this movie would fail. Yeah. And that's why I think, and like I said earlier, like the physical locations, being in this adorable little town and having those two people bouncing off of each other, you can tell what scenes and what, like, you know, it's B-roll and montage sequences. You can tell which one of those are like those actors just genuinely enjoying each other's company. Yeah. Really. There are several of those, and like if this movie were made now, I just don't think you could. You would have to find that perfect charisma machine couple, and then cast everybody around them perfectly too. Yeah, you know.
And so often, and movies are just shot different now. So often, they like people wouldn't be in the same locations for most of it. It would be predominantly like the like Spielberg one or the Master one, or like that's kind of not. You don't see that nearly as often as you used to, except in like really good movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like movies,
Right.
you'll see it still, but it's just not as common anymore, which is a bummer. Filmmaking changed. I mean, like the pandemic changed movie making, where now everyone's like, well, they don't even have to be in the same room. That makes scheduling so much easier, you know? And it's like, well, it's better if they are, though, you know? Anyway, but yeah, that's not much else on.
Runaway Bride has maybe my least favorite cut in all of cinema, maybe.
Yeah.
It is so weird. I don't know why I hate it so much.
There's
one cut that drives me fucking nuts where I'm like, why would you keep that? So there's this shot. It's right at the very end of the movie. She shows up at his apartment right before she's about to... Spoilers for Runaway Bride? Like, for a 25-year-old movie that I love desperately and Spencer likes a little.
I enjoyed.
And so she's at his apartment. He stands up to go to the balcony. You know, she's chatting with him. I can't remember like exactly what spurs him to go like out onto the balcony, but he's out on the balcony. And so he's sitting on the steps in front of the balcony, and he stands up and he walks away. And the shot is like on him, like it's like kind of a medium on him. And he stands up and he steps out of shot, but you can still see his feet. And the camera slowly pans up as his feet walk further away from frame. Why would you keep that shot? It does nothing. It looks weird. It feels weird. It slows down the pace of that scene of them like talking. It is such a weird cut.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it gets under my skin so much, but it does. If you watch this again, or if I literally just sit you down and go, watch this cut.
Look at this weird thing.
It's such a weird cut.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. I'm like, there had to been some other coverage of him walking to the balcony, but I also don't think that was needed.
Amazing.
I don't know why. Okay, that's like the one thing that absolutely drives me nuts about this movie. But everything else I love.
Super into it.
That's not true at all. And they also put her in the dumpiest freaking outfit at the end of the movie where she's like proposing to him.
Yeah.
She's wearing these big ugly clogs and like this sweater that doesn't look like it fits and is basically see-through, and this like skirt. I'm like, what is this?
Height of fashion. It's coming back.
Dude,
you heard it here
1990
first.
Ooh, we love turn of the we love Y2K coming back. Hopefully it's not that.
Hopefully it's not that side of it.
She's like one of the most beautiful women in the entire world, and they put her in the dumpiest little outfit for her to propose to him.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
That's funny.
Notting Hill.
Notting Hill. Dude.
Yeah.
This one won me over pretty much from the beginning.
It's the best.
Like you open on that like montage of Julia Roberts, and I was like, I know these are all real footage of Julia Roberts.
Some of it's fake, some of it's real.
Okay, well, yeah, but I that's how I feel. They encapsulated Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Like, it's great.
Yeah.
Hits that the opening little monologue is like very of its time, but still so charming. You know what I mean? And it like sets the stage for like where he's at.
Yeah.
So what type of guy, what type of life he's living.
I would be fascinated to know if that was in the actual
Or
script,
if they just needed
or if
it.
they were like, we need something to set the table.
Listen,
here.
because he's walking for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, I wonder if it is because he talks about specific people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's cutting into like this guy is this dude. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I wonder if it had to have been.
Fascinating. Yeah,
But
that's true.
my guess is it was intended to be a little shorter, probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked it. Like it didn't.
Yeah.
It won me over right away.
Yeah.
Like I love this idea of like a travel bookstore.
Yeah.
Because when he was outside, I thought it was like, oh, like a book for when you're traveling. Like you get like a little paper. That's what he's selling and specializing. That's his hook.
Yeah.
And then it was literally just a travel books store. And I was like, that's actually a really funny gag.
There's the book, for Belgium, and then the book for,
Turkey. And the fact that somebody was stealing from that store is hilarious to
Yes.
me. It's like, who would do that?
that perv weirdo guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
Who then asked for her autograph, which
Yeah.
I literally, in the moment, I was like, bold move, Cotton.
No.
Let's see if it pans out for him.
And then he goes, what does it say?
Yeah.
It says,
You should be in
here's
jail.
my signature. And then it says, you should be in jail.
It's so good. It's funny.
And he's like, good one.
but like, oh man.
Yeah.
Two people as charming as this.
Yeah.
And I like how non-traditional he is as a like person in this.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have a huge personality.
No.
He's got a lot of character and a lot of characterization, but he's like really quiet and kind of like he's like hunched a little
Yeah.
bit in a really interesting way where you're like, oh, this is not a man with like infinite confidence. He's just
Yeah.
a really sweet guy
Yeah.
who has really good intentions.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that as the like twist on the trope where he's like he's clearly handsome as hell and
Yeah.
charming as hell. Like,
But you could see, like, he feels real in that way, though, where it's like, he is. He's
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. I want to say Richard Grant, and I knew that was wrong.
Yeah. Well, dude, I think both of them kind of have similar vibes. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah,
to you.
right. Like Hugh Grant is obviously very handsome, but he has that kind of like a real world kind of like awkward and but also charming in that way, where you could tell that he wouldn't be just an absolute babe magnet in real life.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like he would struggle to like kind of mesh with people in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I like a lot of what this movie has to say about like stardom and like it feels like in so many ways it feels like autobiographical for Julia Roberts in a lot of really weird, interesting ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of rom-coms are very well written.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird staple of the genre that they're all pretty tropey and of what they are, but like, man, it takes a lot to write an original line in one of these things, and this one's got a bunch of great ones. Like
that is what these movies are. The center of it is the relationship between the two leads and the prose and the writing.
Well, because like you're talking about how it's so much about stardom, and it absolutely is, but it doesn't feel like they talk about it all that often.
No, yeah.
Like she just kind of exists as a person who is in this world, and like people are reacting to it, but they're not like, the whole movie's not her going, oh, stardom is the worst and I don't want to be a star. Like it's not that. She clearly likes what she does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I like about it, is it's all like pretty under the surface. I wouldn't say subtle, but it's not like, it's not overt. It's very like it's very like right at the surface. You know what I mean?
I definitely wouldn't say that that's like what the movie is about, or like what the
definitely thematic of it.
Yeah,
though.
but I just
because you're right. It's about these two characters in the best way, and like also friendship and the people around you and how that affects what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like.
So with that being said, about how much you like how good the writing is, do you like the line, "I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking her to love him"?
I think it's cheesy, but I also think that moment's supposed to be cheesy.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
that line in particular is both like loved and derided.
Yeah.
In like rom-com movie circles, where it's like it is very cheesy, but like in a way that's
I think
awesome.
it's supposed to be. It's literally in that moment. These two people have been this weird, never quite know how to fully just express the thing they're wanting.
Yeah,
and in that moment, it's just, I'm just going to say it to you. This is what I want. You know what I mean? And I like that. And now I like some of the other moments. Like I think the best moment in the entire movie for me is when he's talking to all of his friends after that scene. Yeah. And he's like, you hear him talking and he's saying all these like very valid reasons to not want to pursue this. And then he kind of, it pans off of them as you know what I mean? Slowly and quietly. And then it's not this big, I messed up. He's literally just like, I think I buggered this. You know, it's like, I love the quiet realization of that, and then all of them surrounding him to get him there. Like,
thank God, let's go.
I know, like that to me is my favorite scene in the movie. I because then it's the trope of them running, but it's not like, oh God, oh fuck. You know, it's just, it's really quiet and honest, and I love
the scene of them at the dinner table where they're like, who gets the last brownie?
Yes,
who's the most pathetic? And it goes around the table, and they have all these, and Julia Roberts, Julia Roberts' character Anna Scott, she's like, don't I get a turn?
Yeah,
and they give her this chance to like talk about like being a star and like, having all of your dirty laundry out all the time and having to go through these surgeries and be on a diet for a decade. And they're like, nice try, gorgeous.
Nice
like,
try.
No, that's never going to work.
And she goes, she's not hurt by that. Yeah. I love scenes like that. Yeah. I love scenes where it's just like people are try doing this legitimately. If you've ever like tried sitting down in a scene and playing with the tone in that way. Yeah. Where it's funny and then it gets sad and then it's immediately funny again. It's tough. Like it is a hard thing to do. Yeah. And if you can do it right, it is like magic. You know what I mean? And rom-coms do it amazing, and that's a pitch perfect example of those type of scenes.
I think we talk a lot, or at least I do. I feel like in movies that are similar to this, that aren't straight comedies but have comedy weaved within them. Yeah. I think so often a joke will take me out of a moment like that, where it's like it needs to like, where so often I want it when it's playing straight, I want it to stay playing straight until we move away from that moment. But man, this movie perfectly threads the comedy in without it being distracting, without it taking away from these moments, but still like adding that levity, and also giving the but the more dramatic moments the time to breathe that they deserve, but then also like again, weaving in that comedy. You know, she comes to him at the end of the movie. She's in the store and she's, you know, about to say this thing. And then like, oh, you have a phone call. Your mom, her foot is like went from purple to like a more of a black. And then, you know, he has that, the assistant has that scene where he like confuses her with Demi Moore. And like that, it has that like levity, and then it goes right back to the dramatic, you know, tension.
Yeah.
And damn it, if it's done so well in this movie.
It really is. This movie, like, and this is, there are two great things to talk about here. They're both charming as hell on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they are not the same level of comedy. They are not the same level of drama. They're not the same level of romance.
No.
They're both like effective at it.
Yeah.
But like they're playing in complete, like, Notting Hill is like closer to like About Time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like, Runaway Bride is closer to, I think Sweet Home Alabama is the best example I can give. It is much closer, which even Sweet Home Alabama has one thing in it that I think is like a brilliant creative decision. Have you seen Sweet Home Alabama?
I've seen chunks of it. I haven't seen it all the way through.
I remember watching it when I was like a freshman in high school, and I was like, this is good. Reese Witherspoon's good. No tea, no shade on that movie at all. I just haven't seen it in a long time. But
Vince
like,
Vaughn?
he plays, I think.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I think of like Four Christmases or some shit like that.
No, Four Christmases. I don't know. Anyway, he's the guy that in Ford v Ferrari plays BB, the guy that's the kind of antagonist of the movie. That's like right.
Oh yes.
I believe it's him in Sweet Home Alabama. But like, I think that like.
You were exactly correct.
Yeah, these movies feel so.
Josh Lucas for those playing at home.
There it is. These movies feel so like emotionally different, even though they're the same genre, even though they star one of the same person. They feel really different, and it's amazing to see Julia Roberts do.
I am thinking of Four Christmases.
There you are. I just think that's really interesting. I love finding random things like this to double feature. Like, I think. Not just the one that pops in my head because it's the meme one is like White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen came out within like months of each other and are the same movie.
Deep Impact, Armageddon.
Exactly. It's like, I think there's something really fascinating when things line up, and this is one that's like,
they're both rom-coms. They don't share the premise.
No, they don't share the premise. They're just both rom-coms starring Julia Roberts. Like, find these things and watch them back to back and like really have this weird experience of like, look at yourself and go like, what makes a movie a movie? Like, what makes an individual thing an individual thing? And these are a great example.
I've never done it, but I'd be fascinated to watch Pretty Woman and Runaway Bride back to back because they're both Gary Marshall. They're both Richard Gere, Julia Roberts, and by all accounts, Pretty Woman is one of the most famous like romantic comedies ever. And Runaway Bride just isn't. You know what I mean? Like, I would be fascinated to watch those two back to back and see what works about Pretty Woman, what doesn't work about about Runaway Bride.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting because like movies, like not all serial killer movies feel the same. Not all horror movies feel the same. You know what I mean? Like go find two really similar slashers and like see what's the difference here. Yeah. Good ones. Like, don't watch just like schlock, you know what I mean? Which, by the way, schlock slashers are a great time. That's not me knocking that. But go watch like Halloween and Scream and like really look at the differences and what makes those movies individually good and why the similarities can work in both. You know what I mean? I think that's a really fascinating exercise to do.
I think another kind of version of this is watching Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. I think those movies are very different. They're both Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks, Nora Ephron written. She didn't direct Sleepless in Seattle. I'm struggling to remember who directed that. I could see his face.
Tom Hanks.
Thomason Hanks. What's his freaking name? He directed Spinal Tap and Princess Bride. Rob Reiner.
I was like, Princess Bride right there.
Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner directed Sleepless in Seattle. And I think those movies are both very funny. They both have kind of somewhat elevated premises. But they are like, the way they treat the drama, the way they treat the relationship, the way they treat are so different. And yet they're both great. I love both of those movies so much. No, Rob Reiner directed When Harry Met Sally. I don't think he directed Sleepless in Seattle. Shit, I don't know who directed Sleepless in Seattle.
I have.
Spencer's looking it up. Yeah, no, Rob Reiner directed When Harry Met Sally. And then who directed Sleepless? Was it Nora Ephron?
It was Nora Ephron.
Okay, all right, okay. That's what I'm getting mixed up in my head. And then Nora Ephron wrote and directed
You've Got Mail. Yep.
Yeah. And You've Got Mail is based off of
you would know the answer to this. It comes in the Blu-ray pack, which I learned.
Shop Around the Corner.
Yeah.
So it's like she, adapted by.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, I think these two movies are really interesting movies to compare.
Yeah.
Again, to kind of see how a lot of very similar decisions were made.
Yeah.
A lot of very different decisions were made.
And a lot of tonal things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think Runaway Bride leans more comedy than Notting Hill, but Notting 100%. Hill is still very funny.
Arguably funnier.
Funnier.
But isn't as
Hugh Grant his delivery on jokes is just perfect. He feels like a dude. You know what I mean? He feels like a guy who is funny, not a guy telling a joke.
Right.
And I love that. I think it's also very hard to write and very hard to perform. I have to imagine where it's like you can't go. You can't. Hey, you got to be like, hey. You know what I mean? It's like the difference is like weird and hard, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Good movie. I like this movie a lot. I really like Notting Hill.
I love Notting Hill.
I knew I would enjoy it, but because I enjoy most rom-coms I watch. But I really, really liked this one. I thought it was really good. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Any other lessons or anything specific? I mean, like for me, it's I like I talked earlier about is like meshing the tone of the comedy and the rom without stepping on the other. You know what I mean? Like, and this movie just does it so perfectly. It's like finding those scenarios to weave that through.
I think for me, something that Notting Hill is really interesting, and a weird that this would be the place I would find this because it's not uncommon, but make both of your characters right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're both right.
Yeah.
In how they feel and their reasoning for how they feel, they are both correct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And neither of them completely changes for the other person.
Yeah.
Not completely. You know what I mean? Like they adjust and change, but that's healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think make both of your characters right. It makes for better drama. You know what I mean? Like Runaway Bride is more about like self-realization than it is about being right or wrong. But like these two characters can argue and bicker about things, but both of them are right, and I like that. I think that's very, very interesting. Not done nearly enough,
And they're both wrong. Too,
yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they're both approaching these scenarios poorly.
Yeah.
But like I think Hugh Grant's character comes out a little less scathed than Julia Roberts' character because I think she comes off so brash sometimes.
Yeah.
There's that scene with the photographers and right after the whole scandal, and she just like blows up at him where it's like he is being a little too laissez-faire about it, and she's being too aggressive about it. But like they're both wrong, but they're both right.
Yeah,
they both they're both correct in feeling the way that they feel.
It makes for such good drama. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like in real life, when you argue with somebody, most of the time both of you are right and wrong. Like that's just how it is.
The other thing that I love what this movie does is there are several times in the movie that the person is going to say the thing they need to say, and then they get interrupted, so they don't say it. Like that moment right after she blows up at him.
That is the thing where you're like,
so good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so that one last interruption to leave that tension. Ooh, so good.
Yeah.
She isn't resolute in the thing that she says. It's written all over her face that she feels remorse for how she just treated this scenario. But then ring, 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 she's reminded of the real world.
Yeah.
Or not even the real world, the world that she's been a part of, to where she has to go back and she's right back in that mode again. Ooh, good shit.
Good shit.
Oh, love
movies.
these movies. I love these
movies.
Runaway Bride is, again, like I'm not going to put this on a pedestal of one of the best ever, but damn it if I don't love it.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like a perfect put on in the background.
Yeah, man.
Stop and wait for the the scenes, the funny
when they're dyeing his hair and it's like
great. Also, this needs to be said. The name of the salon, Curl Up and Dye, DYE, is the best name for any fake store ever.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. Nobody has ever thought of anything funnier. We might as well just shut it all down. No more movies need to be made because that name
truly maybe the best thing about Runaway Bride is that little piece right there.
It's the best shit ever. Yeah. And it's the name of the fake salon.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But that's I think both of these movies are very worth watching. I think Notting Hill's like legitimately good, and Runaway Bride is very enjoyable. I had a good time. It's charming as hell.
Charming as hell.
Not a movie you will regret watching by any means.
And that's what these movies like at first and foremost need to be. More than anything else, they need to be some sort of charming. Yeah. They need to be enjoyable in that way.
But I mean we talked lessons from those. My only other lesson really is just like genre. You don't have to be original to be good. I think that's a misconception, and a lot of writers need to let go of that. Yeah. Because so often I feel like you watch a movie and it like something doesn't work, so it doesn't feel original. But if you really take a step back, you're like, no, that's like I've never really seen that in a movie. I think Saltburn is a pretty great example of this, where it's like Saltburn has things I have never seen in a movie before. Yeah. They don't all work though, is the problem. It's like if that movie had been a little more focused on like a cohesive piece instead of a little bit, and not all the time, but at moments of shock value, it would have fundamentally like all smoothed over and felt original on it. You know what I mean? Like, I think you don't have to be original to be good. Sometimes your tropes are there because it's why the hero's journey is the hero's journey. Yeah. Somebody didn't make that up. Somebody listened to thousands of stories and went, well, these are all kind of the same. Well, they made up the like names.
Somebody made up the stories. I'm sorry. See, this is what I'm talking about. The comedy can't step over.
What I'm saying is stories have a natural flow, and like it's like math in a lot of ways, which is done. I don't compare those two things often, but math is like a language. Math is something we discover. We don't invent. You know what I mean?
What a beautiful way of putting it.
And I think the same of story. I think story is something that like there are natural tropes even to the most original things. Yeah. I just think about that more. You don't have to be original to be good. Yeah. Like originality is amazing. And I think we should all strive for it, but take that burden off yourself. Like start by writing a good story and then find what's original and expand it. You know what I mean?
Love that.
Do that. There you go.
Just do that.
That's easy.
Get good, idiot.
Fucking idiots. Oh my God.
Speaking of getting good, idiot, we're going to play a game.
I was so bold a second ago.
I don't have a name for this game. We'll just call it Top 10. Woo! So I pulled a list of the top 10 best rom-coms of all time according to Letterboxd. This is a Collider listicle. Okay. What I'm going to have you do is try to guess as many of the movies that are in this top 10 as possible. Oh, so I'm just gonna have you rattle off movies. If you can guess them, you're not gonna. There's no points or anything here. Yeah. If you need a lifeline, if you run out of ideas and you can't think of anything, I will give you the year that these movies came out.
Okay.
So just guess movies. You don't have to guess them in order.
All right. Pretty Woman.
No.
When Harry Met Sally.
Yes, that is number one. Is When Harry Met Sally.
You've Got Mail.
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Notting Hill.
No,
I'm gonna guess no.
That was on some lists that I saw. Mm-hmm. That was like number 9, number 10 on a bunch of lists I saw, but this not the one.
Sleepless in Seattle.
No, it should be, but no.
Now my brain's like, what other rom-coms have I seen?
I would say this: a lot of these are a little bit more calm than rom, in my opinion.
Okay.
Though the rom is very.
Give me a year for one. I'm trying to like.
Number 2. This is not going to help, but the number 2 movie on the list is 1999.
Fuck.
Just start.
I'm like genuinely trying to think of. Can I use Letterboxd? This is my crypto. I'm gonna look up movies I have seen and just go romantic comedy.
I'll allow it.
I won't.
I know you have not seen all of these.
Yeah, because like this is my kryptonite. Is whenever you ask me if I've seen them or what are other movies like this, my brain falls apart and I'm like, I've never seen a movie before in my entire life. I don't know what you're talking about. I know, which is why I have Letterboxd.
I know you've seen at least a couple of these. I know you have not seen all of these.
Genre, comedy, romance, done. All right. Silver Linings Playbook?
No.
Oh, I'm bad at this. Bridesmaids?
No.
Crazy Stupid Love.
No.
Oh, that's actually criminal. I love that movie. The Proposal's not going to be on there.
No.
Yeah. The Holiday?
No, good guess.
Wedding Crashers?
No.
13 Going on 30?
Nope.
10 Things I Hate About You?
Yes.
Okay.
10 Things I Hate About You is number 2 on the list.
Had to be on there. Does Clueless count?
Does Clueless? It's not on the list. But yes, that fully does count. That is on another list that I saw.
Fuck! Why did I think it was Moonstruck?
No.
Oh, you have to be kidding me. For real?
Not on this list.
Look, I don't even love Moonstruck, but that's insane. Grease?
No.
Groundhog Day, I don't think would be.
It is.
Oh my God! Groundhog Day is great. I love that movie.
That is the epitome of a little bit more calm than rom.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day is number 6 on the list.
Singing in the Rain.
No, good guess though. I like that.
The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride is number 3
See,
on the
and
list.
the funny thing is, I think of The Princess Bride as so much more of an adventure film.
These are letterboxed. This is like I feel like that. I feel like that might put it a little bit more into
Forrest
perspective.
Gump?
No, interesting. Good guess. No.
Love Actually.
No.
Oh my God!
I legitimately like
this has Agent Cody Banks 2 on there. If that's it's on there, right?
Yeah. It's number 10 on the. It's not.
It's not number 10 on the list. Mamma Mia?
No. Do you want me to start giving you?
Yeah, give me.
2017 is the most recent one. It is a movie that I know you like very much.
The Big Sick.
It is The Big Sick.
Fucking dude. Stay tuned for my recommendation.
Yeah. Maybe that could be our movie next year because I haven't seen it yet.
Absolutely. If not sooner, because I love that movie. It's definitely just worth watching anytime. Crazy Rich Asians?
No, that's a wonderful guess. The next most recent one is 2009.
Oh my God. Have I seen it?
Yes, you have.
Really?
It's a movie I loved very deeply for a very long time. I may have written something kind of similar to it.
It's not. I give that one to me because now my brain is like fully.
Number 10 is 500 Days of Summer.
500 Days of Summer. See, and that's like what I think of as like an anti-rom-com.
Yeah, right?
That's my brain is like going, what do you mean?
But like romance is the subject and it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just because it doesn't end on a romantic note between the two characters.
Yeah.
The next, this is the one I think is actually the hardest one on here, is the one from 1934.
The Philadelphia Story?
No, good guess. I think that's a little later.
Seven Brothers?
No.
I don't actually know when that came out. It was probably way later. What is it?
It Happened One Night.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, that one I think
very famous movie, but
was the one that I thought was the most difficult. The next most recent is from 2001.
Have I seen it?
I don't actually know.
Can I get a star? Can I get a?
I don't know her name. She's French.
Oh,
Amelie.
Yeah.
Yes, Amelie from 2001 is number 8 on the list.
Have not seen. That is, funnily enough, the ticket I refunded so I could go rewatch Dune 1 in theaters, which I feel bad about. I want to see that movie very bad, but again, it's one of those ones where I was like, look, the opportunity to see Dune in IMAX again is I'm gonna take a little more.
The next most recent is 1977. Well, we've only got 2 left on the list that we haven't discussed. 1977.
Harold and Maude?
No.
Then what is it? Yeah, I'm not going to get
Annie
these.
Hall is number 4
another movie I haven't seen.
List.
I have never seen a Woody Allen movie for reasons that I'm sure you can guess.
Yeah. Yes. And the last one is from 1960. This is a very famous movie. I think you might be able to get it.
Can I get a star in this one? My 60s film knowledge is bad.
Is it Shirley MacLaine?
Oh, then I definitely don't know it.
I might be getting that wrong, so please don't judge me.
I definitely haven't seen it.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it is.
What is it?
Shirley MacLaine. Let's fucking go, boys. Shirley MacLaine, Jack Lemmon. The Apartment from 1960.
Oh, I have seen The Apartment.
You have seen
again another movie that I don't really think of as a rom-com. You know what I mean?
Yes,
but
exactly.
it is very much rom-com. But it's that's a great movie. I have not seen that in years, and I need to rewatch it.
So this is the list. Number 10 is 500 Days of Summer. Number 9, It Happened One Night. Number 8, Amelie. Number 7, The Apartment. Number 6, Groundhog Day. Number 5, The Big Sick. Number 4, Annie Hall. Number 3, The Princess Bride. Number 2, 10 Things I Hate About You. And number 1, When Harry Met Sally.
That makes me really happy that The Big Sick is like legitimately.
Yeah,
it makes me because
I was not expecting that.
That movie is wonderful. I mean, it was nominated for an Oscar. Yeah. Like it is a wonderful movie. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a movie that has very high stakes, but also feels very small and just wonderful.
I think honestly, I think a lot of this list is really interesting, although I don't know if I agree with a lot of it. Like there were some other lists. I'm gonna see if I can't pull up one of those lists that I saw earlier that I thought was like what I was gonna do, but that one grabbed my eye because it was according to Letterboxd.
Yeah.
So I thought that may or may not give you a better chance. Where's the list I was looking at? It was Harper's Bazaar top 10. Number 1, When Harry Met Sally. Number 2, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Number 3, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Fascinating.
Feels bad to me. Number 4, Notting Hill. Number 5, As Good as It Gets. Number 6, 500 Days of Summer, which again I think is an interesting choice. Number 7, Sleepless in Seattle. Number 8, 10 Things I Hate About You. Number 9, Bridesmaids, which I think is an interesting pick. And number 10 is Clueless, which I fucking love Clueless very much. So yeah,
good.
Yeah,
I definitely should watch more.
I think we might do more of these because I think that's at least an interesting game to see like how you know.
I feel like action I might stand a better chance.
Ooh, but action's so wide.
It would have to be like American action movies.
Yeah, I might be able to narrow down the list there. So recommendations, or do you want to try to do some casting?
My only thought with casting is the reason I think this is they're in a movie together right now. I filmed the movie. I don't know when it's coming out, but Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield for Notting Hill.
Whoa, fascinating!
Like,
I love that.
And then you put just because I love him and he's kind of done this already, but you put Adam Driver as the roommate in Notting Hill.
I love that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Reese, whatever his last name is in Notting Hill. That dude is such a slimy weirdo in the best way.
Anyway, those are the two I could think of for that one. For Runaway Bride, I don't know.
You know what we should do? What an episode we should do? We should do an episode about like a movie that we were obsessed with as teenagers.
Yeah.
Because there's one movie, I can't remember what it's called. Pirate Radio.
Okay.
I was obsessed with this movie for like a year.
See, the thing is, a lot of them that I'm thinking of, I'm still obsessed with in a lot of ways, like Good Will Hunting. Like,
yeah, shit, we could do an episode on Good Will Hunting if you, or like we could do like a double feature on like one of my like weird teenage obsessions.
I'm super down for that.
Yeah.
I just thought a mini-sode we should do is like things from our childhood that we still like today.
Oh, hell
You know what I mean? Like just like whatever we can come up with, like, because I have a few that like given the opportunity to make something in that world, I would say yes.
Oh, 100%.
Even now. And they're very much like kids things where I'd like still be like, I would love to play. Like, you know what I mean?
That.
Anyway.
Oh, I know what my answer would be.
I have a bunch. Like I got a list of things where I'm like, if that can,
mine is super specific.
I love that. UHF.
Like that's the actual truth.
Oh
fuck.
Anyway. My last thing is because of it's so much of the time, this term is not used as much anymore, but I hate the term chick flick.
Yeah.
It's a rom-com, you idiots.
Yeah.
Take your weird masculinity issues and watch a movie that makes you feel good and things. You know what I mean? I just hate that term.
I think I agree. I think to describe these movies as chick flicks, I think is unfair. And
yes.
Cool. I think there are movies that are bent and skewed for a female audience.
Yeah, but I still wouldn't call them chick flicks. You know what I mean? Like I would still be like, stop belittling it.
These definitely don't fall within
No. But I just feel like this would be that's a chick flick, dude. It's a movie about love. It's like shut the fuck up and grow up.
My entire ass.
Anyway,
Recommendations.
You know mine.
You do yours because mine is completely off topic.
The Big Sick. It's a Valentine's Day episode. The Big Sick is like my favorite rom-com, I think.
Yeah.
Like I watch that movie once a year.
It's not Notting Hill.
It's not Notting Hill. Sorry. Give it some time. Maybe
or it's not Sleepless in Seattle. Or what was the other one that I should? Was it or Sleepless in Seattle and
You've Got Mail. Which I think Sleepless in Seattle is a better movie, but I might have liked You've Got Mail more, which is weird. Like
I feel exactly the
same way. Like
I love You've Got Mail. I just rewatched it recently.
Yeah, it's great. The Big Sick is based on a true story of Kumail Nanjiani and Emily. I don't remember her last name, but they're married in real life, and they co-wrote this movie together. And Kumail stars in it, and then Zoe Kazan is the person playing his wife, and it is so good. Holly Hunter turns in just the performance of.
I don't think I knew she was in it.
What's his name? Damn it! He plays her dad.
You keep talking, I'll find it.
But that movie is like emotionally resonant, and it has one of the funniest jokes I've ever heard in a movie. But it goes places you don't expect, and it emotionally plays in worlds that just is like, I've never seen this in a movie before. Ray Romano is also so funny in it.
Bo Burnham is in it?
Bo Burnham is in it in like a supporting role. Like that, it's great. Go watch The Big Sick.
Watch The Big Sick.
It's a heavy movie at times, but it's also just like absolutely brilliant and hilarious.
For personal reasons, I think I might struggle with it more than the average bear.
wonderful movie. I love it dearly. I watch it all the time, and just recently watched it or rewatched it, and it's great.
Freaking directed by Michael Showalter. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great.
Amazing.
Love that.
I
movie.
love it. My recommendation's a video game. It's The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. So I did A Link to the Past a few months ago, I think. I just started playing it. And I played it for literally like 10 hours yesterday into today. I literally stayed up until 5 o'clock this morning playing it. When I woke up, I immediately turned it on and started playing it again. It's a very good game. That game, of all the Zelda games, I think that one might be the most slept on. Now, look, I haven't played every single game in the entire Zelda canon. But Link to the Past like is known as like the best 2D Zelda. But I am surprised that A Link Between Worlds is not more heralded than it is. I think it's because it is so intimately connected to A Link to the Past. But damn it, that game is so fun, and it is so inventive and interesting. And holy shit, so I played a few hours of Breath of the Wild. This is one of my greatest shames as a video game player. I played a few hours of Breath of the Wild, and I bounced off for two reasons. One, my Joy-Cons were dying, or I was getting Joy-Con drift, and so I just like didn't want to play the game when I couldn't play it well. And the other part of it that like made it hard for me once I replaced them. That the other thing that made it hard for me to want to play it is the weapon degrading. Wow, that is such a bummer, and I hate it a lot. When I'm like in the middle of a fight and out of nowhere my freaking sword breaks.
Yeah.
I really truly hate that. It is like the opposite of fun, or even just like an engaging thing to deal with. It is just annoying for the sake of being annoying. But if they used the mechanic of like the rental mechanic within A Link Between Worlds, if they used that in Breath of the Wild, I would instantly hop back in and finish that game today. Inside of A Link Between Worlds, there's a mechanic where there's like a shop where you can either buy or rent all of the like big tools that you'll need throughout the game. So like the hook shot and like the bow and arrow and bombs and like all of these tools that you'll need throughout the game, you can go and either rent, so you have it on your person, and then when you die, he takes it back, or you can just buy it outright. It's really expensive to just buy it outright, but you can go and rent just the pieces that you need to get through this mission, and if you die, you have to go back and get them. That is such an interesting mechanic, and that is so much more like tactical and like interesting than just your weapon will break in the middle of a fight. Pisses me off. So yeah, go play A Link Between. If you have a working 2DS or 3DS, and you want to go play a freaking phenomenal Zelda game that I just like did not get its flowers, I feel. It was the last Zelda game made before Breath of the Wild. That wasn't like Triforce Heroes or one of those games. And it feels like it went completely by the wayside because it was a 3DS game. Yeah. And that game is good as hell. So if you have the opportunity to play it, I fully recommend it.
Do it. Video games.
You've got some rom-coms to watch. You've got a video game to play until 5 a.m. So go do it. Or don't. I don't know. Live your life. You're really inspirational at the end.